Some things are just too ingrained, I guess.
I'm not afraid of dying.
A lot of people aren't. Comes right down to it. It's living scares the holy crap out of them.
Used to think it was God's will.
Used to.
Yeah, he made each and every one of us with a purpose, didn't he? A reason for being.
I believe so, yes.
Then why did he put the devil in me? Why do I feel it in my heart and my soul? Clawing to be let out. If that's not all part of God's plan.
Maybe you're being called to summon the better angels of your nature. Maybe that's the struggle you're feeling deep within you.
And how do you know the angels and the devil inside me aren't the same thing?
I don't. But nothing drives people to the church faster than the thought of the devil snapping at their heels. That was God's plan all along. Why he created him. Allowed him to fall from grace. To become a symbol to be feared. Warning to us all. To tread the path of the righteous.
Oh, bitch. All right, ladies, gentlemen, and racist pieces in between. This is your dude, your dirty dick, Spick, SoulPapo, and I'm back at it again with another week of trying. And I mean, they say that if you're trying, you're not really doing. But if you tried, didn't succeed, I don't want to think of shit in the negative past tense, thinking that I failed. Because once again, that was an attempt that, you know, could have been executed a little bit better. But that's where I feel that practice makes perfect shit kind of comes into play. So I definitely would have hoped for that. And in that same realm, I was actually looking back, and if any of y'all ever seen my poetry, it's at papotalk.wordpress.com, and I had written down something that kind of remains, I mean, forever true for the times that, you know, that you're trying to accomplish something, and if you don't tweak it a little bit, then it kind of goes back to that saying that Einstein was saying some shit about, you know, attempting the same shit and expecting different results is madness or something like that. Don't quote me, look at the quote from him, and it'll make a little bit more sense, but it's something to that nature. Google it. But once again, there's this poem entitled Smooth Landing that kind of fits the theme of shit, and it goes, I think it, believe it, I see it, I'm pointing right at it, and then like a reflex that's set up on automatic, I stretch for it, grasping it, and then it finally had it. As soon as I realize I did, it slips right through like traffic. I'm stuck behind on the side, then I slipstream right past it, trying to get it right, but my trying is causing damage, and I struggle and then I manage, all while my chances are pulling in and out so sensual and tantric. It's pulling my vision way off from where I clamped it, and it's starting to lose grip while I'm drawing out another hat trick. So I stumble, but then I catch it, and prayers I start chanting since it did no good to be yelling out, damn it, and all while I try my best to go for a smooth landing, I finally landed. So without further ado, whether or not that made any bit of fucking sense at all, let's jump right into the what the fuck? What news? All right, so first thing on the list here, career builder. If any of you guys have ever looked for a job, more than likely you might have tried it. I don't know if I've ever actually gotten any hits from it. Jobby.com usually did it for me. But anyways, some fucking reason, somehow one of the editors or a few of them, I don't know how many guys they put on this fucking task here, and it might have just been to kind of spook up some fucking clicks for Halloween, but they compiled a list of a supposed study in which cities are most likely and least likely to survive a zombie apocalypse, and this list is consisted of weighted index rankings from 53 of the largest U.S. metropolises metropolitan areas, and there's like 1 million that have 1 million residents and up, and it's a standard of flesh-eating virus transmitted via biting or contact with infected blood is assumed, or however the hell zombie shit kind of starts end up popping off. But it's pretty much going against what could fight against the virus, what could contain the virus, what could possibly provide a cure, and other epidemics like fucking ample food supply, so on and so forth. So there's a list. I love me some lists. And what ranks on top of these fucking lists might surprise you and may not. So I'm going to kind of go through a few of these here just to kind of give a rough spot as to, how the shit would go down. Would we be able to survive it? I mean, shit, who fucking knows? Data, just like anything else, it's just analytical shit that's compiled against other things. And mind you, these are just by the book kind of odds, but a lot of times, just like your David and Goliath, it's always the underdog that prevails. But top 5 of the ones that would survive, number 1 was Boston. Cambridge, Newton, pretty much between Mass and New Hampshire, had the top score of being able to survive. And I would have thought all the drunk fucking Irishmen would have fucking knocked the fuck out of each other and would have been hurled up inside bungalows or bars, but that might have been what fucking saved them. The next thing is Salt Lake City, Utah. That's second on the list to be able to survive. And now in my mind, I'm thinking, well, shit, man. You and your wives, you stay in, just stay shackled about. You have your crops and your forest and whatever other cult-like shit that you have in your plantation, and you good. Number 3 is Columbus, Ohio. Don't really got shit to say about Columbus, Ohio. Baltimore and Columbia, so township, so Maryland, that was one of the surviving ones. And, niggas be killing themselves up there. So, shouts out to y'all. And then 5th on the list of top-ranked cities that could survive a zombie apocalypse is Virginia Beach and Norfolk, which I think is like Newport News. Either which way, from the VA to the North Carolinas, y'all would have survived this shit. And I would imagine like being close like to the DCs and things like that, there's gonna be certain technologies that's gonna be able to save your ass in the time being. So I gotta hit up my nigga from Strict 9 out there in Virginia, because he got shackled up, found himself a bad white bitch, and live happy. And there's a top 5 of the worst cities in which you can possibly try to attempt to survive. And I guess, and this makes me laugh because I didn't, as much as I like The Walking Dead, I didn't get too deep into the series. I just know that they were in Georgia, and once again, the top ranked city to be fucked in that situation would have been Atlanta, Georgia. I don't feel bad for ya. Second on the list, Miami, Florida. Shit, they're already fucking eating each other's faces with the goddamn synthetic weeds or whatever bath salts, so whatever kind of shit they're popping off there, so it's not illegal. Y'all motherfuckers doomed anyway. Riverside, California, Holmes. You motherfuckers don't give too many shits. Along with motherfuckers in LA, you snobby, tramp ass mother dudes. And I guess kind of topped off on the top 5 of the fucked list is Tampa, Florida, and New York. Now, because it's so clusterfucked and shit, if an outbreak were to come down there, then there'd be really no way to contain it. You'd have to slaughter all you motherfuckers. And it's as easy as just kind of chopping off a piece of the fucking country and just letting you floating about. And pray to Jesus that y'all can make it safely, or at least don't affect any other motherfuckers. So be blessed. Let's kind of keep it moving. We're in the States. Let's get the fuck away from me. And let's go to Australia, where a man who was searching for a toilet stumbles across a 49,000-year-old evidence of earliest settlement in Australia. Now, as the story goes, an Australian man was searching for a toilet where he stumbled across the oldest known evidence of and I can't pronunciate the fucking word, but an aboriginal settlement in existence. Now, it says that the chance discovery happened while, and I can't believe the fucking names person. I can't say the fucking names person. I can't say the fucking name of the person. And this elder, Clifford Coulthart, was surveying gorges in the area, and Mother Nature called. And he goes that he came across the ridge site known as Warantai. Anyways, that's not Japanese, it's strange. I have no fucking idea how the hell you say it. Anyways, which showed, pretty much that it had such early settlements. So now, I've stumbled across a lot of shit in my day in attempts to take a shit. But I don't know how the fuck you find things like this, and I'm not too sure if maybe someone else had taken this shit and, it became petrified because of the weather, or because, the toilet flushes the opposite direction, or however that shit goes. Can't really explain it. Don't know shit about it. If my boy Trav Lord was somewhere around, hopefully listening, maybe he can kind of spit some news about this shit. I don't fucking know. I don't dig up shit. But, nudes. All right, so moving on over to China. There's where motherfuckers are calling it a genius woman who gets 20 of her boyfriends to buy her 20 iPhone 7s, and this bitch sells them to buy a house. Now, I'm not too sure, because the article and other research I was able to find really says whether or not she was dating them continuously. They didn't say whether she was fucking them all. She didn't say she had to do a little something strange for a little piece of change. Now, those phones ain't fucking cheap, so I know it wasn't just a little bit strange, because I know it wasn't just a little bit of fucking change. And this bitch apparently would actually sell these things to some recycling place that takes your old smartphones, and I'm pretty sure it refurbishes them and resells them. It tries to make more money than what they're giving you. But this bitch gave up enough to be able to get what was equivalent to be like 18 G's. And it was a little under that shit, but she was able to make enough so she could put a down payment on the house. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, this bitch is smart. Now, what I probably would have done is just to fucking take a small donation from these motherfuckers, get the hardcore cash, not have to, liquidate the bitch or liquidate the shit. But whatever it is that got to be done in order to be able to get what you want done. And, I know that in China, females are scarce. I mean, you go to anywhere when it's spring break and there's buku of bitches, that just became legal. They down for the get down. But in China, families are only allowed to have one daughter. And in most cases, they would fucking kill the daughters because, they can't have them make money. They can't be breadwinners. They can't contribute to whatever business. They bring shame upon family, or however the shit goes. But, this bitch pulled a fast one and was able to fucking get it done. Now, I had suspicions that maybe this was just a PR stunt, maybe to kind of let motherfuckers think, hey, you trade in your shit and we'll get it going. But the story is kind of spread across. Didn't really give too much information, but you go, bitch. You go. Moving along from China to Japan, there's a fucking, and this is the headline, y'all. Fart sparks fire during surgery in Japan. The patient seriously burned. Now, yeah, that was pretty disgusting. I'm so sorry. Oh, nigga, there's flames everywhere. There goes a patient who farted during a surgical procedure in Tokyo allegedly sparked a fire that seriously burned her. There goes the unnamed woman in her mid-30s was undergoing an operation in April at Tokyo Medical University, and the hospital was, using some kind of lasers to her cervix when the laser was ignited. It goes, while the surgery was being carried out and the patient was, past wind, this shit sparked a fire and pretty much burned the fucking place down. Now, the blaze burned much of her body, including her waist and her legs, but she was just released back at the end of October, around the 28th, so just in time for Halloween to be the burnt down bitch. Now, they're still investigating the matter, but they're not, seeing it as a crime. But that's just a goddamn shame, because on the real, and I don't know what it is or what bacteria got in me, but I be ripping like a motherfucker, just yearning for the mic. And goddamn, if that shit would have got me some third-degree burns. No. All right, so keep it moving because we can't stop, won't stop. Sheffield man cuts off his toe with bolt cutters and eats it. Now, this happened in the UK at a Wilko store. And Wilko apparently is kind of like a Home Depot meets Office Space kind of shit. And it doesn't really say what was going on. They're just saying that on a Sunday morning, dude casually walks in, looking at bolt cutters, picks out the one that he wants, and just starts fucking clipping off the toe, and then just starts chomping on it. They reported it, police got there. It doesn't say much beyond that, but what the fuck, man? And more than likely, this nigga has to be homeless. Maybe he fucking lost all his benefits. Maybe he thought it was fucked and said, you know what, I'm going to do this here because if I did it anywhere else, I'm probably going to bleed to death. with no one taking care of me. Now, I don't know how the health coverage is down there, but, that was some real shit. All right, so moving on over again to the Philippines, leader Duarte says that God told him to stop cursing. So he made a vow to the Lord that he was going to stop using slang words, and stop talking shit. The next fucking day, he's back at it again. Now, this foul-mouthed Philippines president who once called the Pope a son of a bitch and told Obama to go to hell, like I said, make that vow, and I'm not too sure what it was that made him kind of go through this trip. I don't know how he was touched, by the universe in which to tell him that he needs to clean up his act. But this guy, who is better well known as like the Filipino Trump without the pizzazz, just all balls and nothing else. Yeah, that happened. So keeping in the realm where the spear of fellow wetback brothers, Venezuelans give up on counting piles of cash and they just start fucking weighing it. Now, after so long of inflation and just motherfuckers adding to the deficit and really just kind of devaluing shit, they literally, it estimates from each year to year jump from 200% to 1,500%. Now, I don't know fucking math, and I'm just fucking looking at numbers, but they literally have, like, if you, there's this one article that goes on about this guy who owns a fucking bakery, and these are just fucking muffins and donuts this motherfucker selling, and he was quoted to say that he feels like fucking Pablo Escobar, fucking for having all these mountains of cash every day, more and more, that they literally need a whole room just to keep them in. So they don't even count the shits anymore. They just fucking weigh them. Now, I don't know how this would kind of tie in together, but I was listening to Paul Mooney, who's fucking hilarious, probably one of the best ghostwriters ever in comedy, and he had kind of talked about how, the best trick that the white man did was fucking, and I'm trying to think comparisons to the devil, I'm making shit a lie, but it's selling you water. The fact that they can fucking poison the water that we have for free and end up fucking selling you fucking bottles of it, like, that's some fucking shit, and who knows what the hell's in that shit? Do we actually test it? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares? Because we're gonna buy it anyway, and we're gonna do whatever the hell. But anyways, imagine they gonna start selling us fucking air. Like, it's fucking mind-boggling. It makes me cry. Let's go to some more What the Fuck News, please. Alright, so bringing shit back down to the States. In New York, in the fucking Museum of Modern Arts, they've announced that they're gonna include the original emojis. Now, how the fuck that's possible since the bitch is digital, I wasn't too quite sure, but apparently there's 176 Japanese pictographs from the very late 20th century, and they're the original emojis. So apparently 176 of these shits include, like, the cloudy weather, a dog, cat, golf, karaoke bar, all the basics of civilization. So, fucking God bless America. You know what? Let me back it up really quickly, because there's some shit that came out of Canada that fucking really had me cracking up, especially when I read the title. Sweeping changes in store for curling after Broomgate. Now, for those that aren't too sure, and I've never was quite sure how the fuck this shit ever became a sport, but curling is like a fucking granite-looking type of round-ish kind of rock that they pretty much put on a fucking ice rink, and they have like brooms and shit that somehow they make it magically move, and they gotta move it from one end to the other, and I really don't know how it works, but apparently due to technology, thank you, Japanese, there's like new brooms that apparently make it all the more fucking easier in order to be able to skedaddle or to scoot these shits along. So apparently there's some shit called the Broomgate because of the conspiracy behind it. Do I give that many fucks about it? No, I don't, but I just had to mention this shit because this shit seems straight up fucking retarded. Yeah, and Canada's the one bitching. I'm just saying. Alright, so bringing it back to the States, Miss Rachel Dolezal talks discrimination that she suffered, quote unquote, while living as a black woman, end quotes, in the memoir In Full Color. Now, for those that don't remember, Rachel Dolezal, the former NAACP chapter president whose white parents outed her for posing as black, is back. and unapologetic as ever in her new memoir, In Full Color. Or I guess it's called In Full Color, Finding My Place in a Black and White World. Now, what's so fucking ridiculous is, mind you, she is a white woman who, like I said, she identifies as black. And I'm not too sure whether you want to call that, race appropriation or however the hell this shit. But she embraced the shit to its fullest capacity until they fucking figured out this bitch ain't black. Now, her writing this book and showing the struggles of a black woman is obviously taking food off the plate of actual black authors. She's pretty much crying wolf, so to speak, finally feeling the burn that is the racial divide that's not going to fucking end until the aliens come and show us how much pieces of shit we've been. What's just so funny, though, or what I'm hoping, even in all this fucking straight up blackface that she's playing, straight up blackface that she's doing, all this bamboozlement, is that what if motherfuckers actually listen? What if white motherfuckers actually pick up the book and they tell themselves, or they think to themselves, oh my God, Becky, look at how she's been hurt. What if this is what actually opens the eyes? So as asinine as it sounds, and as crazy of a ripple that it's started in the black Twitter sphere, wouldn't that be some shit if this is what it takes for motherfuckers to actually see what's been going on? Am I gonna read the book? Nah, fuck nah. Am I gonna laugh at this shit every time I fucking see it down the Walmart or Target? Yeah, fucking of course. It's just, it doesn't make any fucking sense how she can kind of go along with this. But if you're able to meet the right connects and start the right wave, ain't no such thing as bad publicity. Look at Trump. Just so we can finish off with this shit, I read another fucking interesting article that sounded like some bullshit, but I wanted to believe it. It says that pudgy older fathers live longer and apparently are more attracted to the opposite sex and are better at passing on the genes than their leaner counterparts, apparently, according to quote-unquote scientists. It says becoming father after fatherhood due to decreasing testosterone levels may not fit the macho ideal, but it actually prolongs lives and strengthens immune systems. Now, according to Richard Byabraskakas, a professor of anthropology and some other deputy provost bullshit in Yale University, it says that the evidence shows that, men are less likely to suffer from heart attacks and prostate cancer and other shit that they had figured out back in 2008, which is pretty much opposite of what they've been saying, because I figured those motherfuckers would have been the ones to die first. Now, I went from fat-ass blob to fucking Greek god. Now I'm back, kind of edging back to obese, so I'm really hoping that the good genes are what's going to keep motherfuckers alive, or at least my swimmer's strong. Now, it says that in the same vein, which kind of goes to show how much bullshit all this shit is, because they're saying that, we're, more attractive and that the dad bod is in, and, it could just be for fucking comedic relief, in all honesty. It says that there was also another study at Cambridge University last year that found that women searching for a father for their children should choose long-distance runners, and who are traditionally, very low levels of fat, and they're more likely to have stronger sex drives and higher sperm counts. So if that doesn't just belittle every fucking thing that I just said earlier, I don't know what does. Sounds like you're looking for a nigga, and I ain't want you, bitch. I ain't want you. That attitude. So that's gonna wrap it up for the what the fuck? What news? All right, so in this week of entertainment, motherfucking Mel Gibson made it back, man. If fucking Britney can survive 2005, then you can sure as shit come back from fucking telling your ex-bitch that she could go choke on a nigger dick. And this motherfucker came back swinging. Now, I guess the new movie's called Hacksaw Ridge, and it's kind of having to do with World War II times, and I haven't got to see it. Do I plan on seeing it? Probably not, unless it makes it to Netflix. But considering that when this motherfucker gets his production on, his writing on, his directing on, he usually comes out with some good shit. I mean, not to kind of rest on the fucking pedals of Passion of Christ, but this guy really fucked himself when he when he delved into other ventures, especially when he tried to come back with fucking Get the Gringo and some shit called The Beaver, and just, motherfuckers have been having it at him, but it seems like they've embraced it back. He might have sucked the Illuminati's dick just to be able to get back on the good graces. Am I mad at him? I mean, nah. How could I? Mental illness, some would say. I mean, it was mostly him being fucking drunk and going on a goddamn rant, but nonetheless, he had to battle shit. I mean, same thing fucking with Lindsay Lohan. This bitch apparently is back, and she's doing some sort of fucking peace in the Middle East of shit, trying to bring some kind of movement or some kind of adoption shit. I really don't get it. And I remember hearing back not too long ago about her wanting to meet with Syrian UN leaders, and I don't know what the fuck she plans on doing in a country like that fucking prostitutes their kids at the years of 12 age. But I mean, she was out there and she was doing some kind of PR bullshit, and apparently when she was talking with some kind of weird fucking accent. She actually sounded like Middle Eastern with a bit of Russian, and she even sounded ignorant by not completing fucking full sentences, and she went on Twitter fucking going about naming her accent Lee Lohan, which can't get more awkward than we had to fucking talk in a third person and naming shit that people can't really understand. Once again, if Britney can come back robotic as fuck, why can't this bitch? How she came back with an accent, though, I can't really explain. I mean, as an actress, we've heard her speak with the English accent back when she was a fucking kid doing, was it Parent Trapped? I don't know. She was like 8 or 12 or 11 or some shit, which is funny that she's out there in Syria and I was a prostitution agent. Actors are usually quite the whores, but yeah, she's out there. She's making a comeback. This is the year of the comeback kids, which kind of almost brings me back to Kid Cutters and his whole shit. And I'm not too sure if in this rehab you're not supposed to have internet access or something, but there's been a lot of shots being fired back and forth with all of the shit with Big Sean and Big Sean going after Kendrick, and it kind of causing a commotion, which kind of brings it back to when that whole controversial verse on Control where Kendrick goes after Big Sean on his own track, where he had kind of given a lackluster performance, and it was meant to kind of rejuvenate and to kind of tickle everyone's asshole so they can fucking get on their shit and actually do things. And that's kind of I guess that competitive nature is what makes hip-hop hip-hop. I mean, does that give, fucking Drake an out for, talking shit the way he did about Cudi? I mean, no, not necessarily. But again, it is competition, and that is going to fucking flick the assholes of everyone included. So, fucking job well done. Well, speaking of music and, mental illness and just comebacks in general, fucking Dave Chappelle, I would arguably say one of the funniest people ever. I mean, no shots at Kevin Hart because he's hilarious and he obviously has a really strong work ethic that's gotten him where he is right now. Dave Chappelle is king. And I'm not too sure what he's promoting, but on November 12th, he's going to be on Saturday Night Live, and his guests or A Tribe Called Quest. And it kind of almost comes full circle because I remember watching the Dave Chappelle show, and they were one of the musical guests. I actually, was it? I'm not too sure, actually, now that I think about it, if it was the show or if it was that concert parade thing that he did in New York, where he kind of, brought a bunch of dope-ass artists together. But Tribe Called Quest, if you didn't already know, are coming up with another album. They are saying this might be the last one, or it's going to be the last one. This is kind of like with a reunion to let you know this is the last one. Why or how they can remain relevant, I mean, for true hip-hop heads, they're going to give them a listen. They're going to have to come out with something more niche, I would say, probably in order to kind of appeal to the masses. So we'll see how that goes, but motherfucker, like, you can't get better host and musical performance, because I imagine if he's a host, he's going to probably be in these skits. And I don't think Dave Chappelle's ever done this shit. So for those that are listening, I'm hoping that reached your ears in time. Don't miss this. I'm going to try my damnedest not to, so fucking check it out. Yeah, with everything that's risen up, it's gonna fucking fall down, whether it's the careers, the people that I might have mentioned just previously, or fucking fads, or just these franchises that are kind of becoming too big for themselves. Once again, in entertainment news, recently they were in the works to try to make a Deadpool 2. Deadpool 1, which is like one of the first R-rated superhero movies to have big commercial success, which unfortunately does not include The Watchmen, which back in 2009, even still today, is one of the dopest fucking films. I can't wait till they redo that bitch. They stuck to the original material. Shit was good. Show some titties and everything. Great film. Didn't kind of, showcase it in the box office, but fucking Deadpool did. I mean, whether it's because you have fucking hunky ass Ryan Reynolds on this bitch, or because you have a character that literally breaks the fourth wall and will shit on you and will not make you stop laughing, but also giving you the fucking the constant action that you need in this ADHD ridden world. It was a perfect mixture. Well, Ted Miller, who was the director of that, of course, was coming back, and they were working on number 2. Now, apparently he was trying to go bigger, better, and all the shit that comes with it. Ryan Reynolds was not having it. Him, who was one of the main producers of the film, who pretty much backed it and helped it get to the point of release, because there was a lot of shortcomings and a lot of things that kind of knocked it down, kind of has some leverage. And he didn't want to go the big budget fucking route that other shits like X-Men and shit like that do, and do horribly. So pretty much he had the fucking director leave, because it's either the director leaves, your main fucking star, who's the main selling point, who was the thriving force behind the whole bitch, leave, and that's not gonna fucking happen. Not if you want your financial backers to fucking continue with it. But I mean, who are you going to stick with more? Whose word are you going to trust more? I mean, ultimately speaking, Ryan Reynolds had his way, and they lost a director. Now, in that same vein, he almost was rumored to be jumping on to the Flash movie, which, mind you, these are different universes. The Deadpool comes from Marvel, the Flash comes from DC, and the DC cinematic universe needs the biggest amount of help right now, especially since, Batman vs. Superman wasn't all that great. Suicide Squad wasn't all that great. Ben Affleck's portrayal in Batman was so fucking good that, there's definitely high hopes that the movie of the solo endeavor is going to be good, and hopefully the capturing of each character, giving their origins before they have a Justice League movie. It's a big build-up. We're anticipating it. We're hoping for it. There's a lot of pressure going on, and there's too many fucking cooks in the kitchen. They lost their fucking director too, so it was almost a rumor that this motherfucker was going to jump in that route, but I'm not too sure if it's a matter of agencies, because I think the Deadpool thing, which is Marvel, but for some fucking reason, for I don't know how fucking long, is X-Men, and X-Men right now is owned by Fox, so they couldn't collide, or they couldn't switch, because I think DC is owned by WB, and there's a lot of mergers and ownerships in that, so there's really no getting out of it. I'm not too sure if there's contractual agreements with that shit. None of that shit ended up blowing over. Apparently, actually, Tim Miller, who, again, I just talked about with the fucking Deadpool shit, is actually going to do a live action movie of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, that almost sounds retarded, because when I think Sonic, I'm thinking his competitor with Nintendo, which of course was Super Mario. If anybody remembers the John Leguizamo flick, it was terrible, and it was literally just a cash-in that was a pile of shit, if you can sum it down to just a few words. Now, along with that, though, people had rumored or had petitioned and even started some kind of fucking change.org bullshit list trying to enlist Quentin Tarantino to direct one of these shits, like the Deadpool thing, and there was no response. I'm not too sure if it was, or if he ever commented on it, or gave some sort of subliminal through the Twitter sphere like most fake motherfuckers do. But he did come out and say that once he makes his 10th film, that's going to be it. that's going to be the end of it. And I'm not too sure if The Hateful Eight was his 8th film. I think it was. That means that he has 2 more in the works. But once again, after he's done with his 10th film, he's going to retire. Now, one thing I can definitely say that I give mad props to Tarantino, and no matter how frantic or ranting or rabid he gets, in the shit that he talks, he's kept true to his image, and when he creates things, he gives it its own ideology or mythology. Yeah, he creates its own universes to where they stand on their own. If they copy or if they, take inspiration from other shits, I mean, that's what he's known for. Very obscure shits, by the way, but he does it all on its own. He's a master craftsman, and he's, from what I understand, never really taken on other films from, maybe he might have had other writers like, Robert Rodriguez, who's a dope legend in its own, but he's never, had kind of like a cash in, because even Robert Rodriguez, who, once again, intellectually, his own IPs he creates, even if they're little cash ins like Shark Boy and Lava Girl or Spy Kids, even though they're fucking commercial successes and they're aimed towards kids, he invented them, he created them, he molded them, and they weren't shit that were passed on. Similarly, and for example, Kevin Smith, who's definitely one of my favorite directors, writers, even actors, even though he doesn't really give, Oscar type performances, he's just fucking hilarious. He's a comedian, he's a podcaster, he's just dope. No disrespect to him at all. He did, a little cash in, and I forget what it was called. It was some kind of buddy cop movie with Bruce Willis and I think Tracy Morgan. I think it was called Cops or Buddy Cops. It was your typical buddy cop movie, which apparently had really fucking pissed off Bruce Willis. And I laugh at the, 90 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever the fuck you want to call it, where separation, 90 degrees of separation, because Bruce Willis had then done a lot of movies with Tarantino, and I'm not sure if they're buds, but they've always returned back, even to make small, tiny performances, even with Robert Rodriguez. Once again, these are the 3 kings of independent / major league movies that don't break the bank when it comes to budgets, but it's enough to, fucking feed everybody involved. And I'm really excited to be able to see what the fuck he's gonna do, whether or not he would then go into directing just to direct other shit, for cash-ins. I don't know. I feel like he's too much of an artiste for that. Would I hate him if he were to go the route of making commercial shit for other people? Nah, I wouldn't hate that shit at all. I would love to see his interpretation, but he's so strong-willed that I can't see him, fucking with any other company, because Miramax gives him a lot of leadway and a lot of room to wiggle and do whatever the fuck that he does, and obviously it's fucking magic, so fucking shouts out to him for sure. Now, in that same vein of just being able to make magic with the little bits that you're able to gather, I wanted to kind of give some shout outs to some movies that were made damn near on the cheap, but pretty much made some of the biggest successes and headways in comparison to fucking budget shits that we probably are into for a summer and then kind of forget all the way about it. Now, I'm not a big horror movie fan, but definitely one of the ones that made it big was shit like The Evil Dead. And I forget what the fuck his name is, dude, who you've probably seen do other kind of cornball shit. Something Campbell was a part of The Evil Dead, and it kind of is what made the spooky at the cemetery kind of shit a big deal. And that only took under 4 G's to make, I think. It definitely had, is what started the cliches of shits that followed. Another one that actually started before that was A Night of the Living Dead, which again kind of gave to the whole zombie shits. And that genre is shit that we still see today. Now, as corny as it looks, kind of looking back at the things, obviously, late 70s, early 80s, you're kind of breaking through in the whole spirit of shit. Now, Batman, which is not part of this whole thing, was one of the first superhero movies out there that were to really kind of to do shit, and actually actually, no, I scratched that because I think the Superman movies, which before it is what really started it. But once again, that's bullshit, and they weren't very cheap to make. But along the same lines, Mad Max, the original one, and shouts out to Mel Gibson because this is kind of where he really jumped into the scene. And to think that shit that's post-apocalyptic is what, kind of remains everlasting. Just how in most religions, especially in the Christian religion, we've been living in the fucking end of days, just kind of, waiting for shit to fall off. But along with that, kind of still keeping to the spooky, which once again I'm not into, but these just are shits that were made dirt cheap and happen to fucking make a big everlasting kind of tidal wave. The Blair Witch Project, which was under a couple G's, I think 14 or so. And it really stirred up and really kind of created a subgenre for found footage, testimonials, kind of reality TV shits where you're talking into the camera and things of that nature. That really fucking started shit like that from that stuff right there, which inspired another shit on the list, the Paranormal Activities. This shit cost 15 G's to make and made I don't know how many millions in the box office, probably more in the DVDs and other distribution shits because motherfuckers are gonna have it in the collection. This is the antithesis of a Netflix and chill kind of situation because you're gonna scare the panties off of a bitch. Now, more so into my style, which please believe I love being able to shake the panties off of a bitch, is El Mariachi, which I think was the very first movie that Robert Rodriguez did. And like I mentioned, Robert Rodriguez being one of my favorite motherfuckers, made this movie under 7 G's. Now, it didn't make a whole lot in the theaters, but again, it kind of started his cult following and definitely spawned a couple of sequels after it, like Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which was a dope fucking thing. It had what's her fucking name in it. I can't remember her fucking name. I'm gonna say it a little bit later. But along with some of my favorite directors, Kevin Smith, whose movie Clerks was a classic, definitely cult following, definitely spawned a universe of Jay and Silent Bob afterwards. It was made under 30 G's, kind of a, indie Tribeca kind of shit. It was actually along the same scene of when Tarantino had came out, and I think he had, there was an Unusual Suspects that came afterwards. This is, I think, when Usual Suspects came out. I think that was the first one to do it. It was one of the Band Apart films. Another movie that just made it really fucking big and was damn near cheap to make, so much so to where they only paid $1,000 to the lead fucking actor, is Napoleon Dynamite. Like, I think they ended up paying him more once the movie, hit big and started getting, got bought over by MTV. But that movie was made so fucking dirt cheap. It really just... And they made so much money in just to fucking vote for Pedro shirts. I remember seeing this shit like crazy, not really understanding it, really hating it just by looking at it. But then once you kind of saw it, you just had to embrace it for its fucking goofiness and just offbeat kind of manner. And it just kind of goes to show that it doesn't take millions of dollars to be able to make a masterpiece. I mean, brilliance is behind the product. You give good content, good ideas, good inspiration, it could just light a fire for so much other things. So definitely shouts out to those that, can be strategic in their moves. Speaking of being strategic and all the shit that kind of falls into such strategies, the elections. If you're listening to this, hopefully, I'm going to have this out before day of. But this Tuesday is going to be the elections. I have not mailed in my ballot. I think I'm actually going to go down there in person and kind of soak it all in. I definitely got to judge these motherfuckers and look to see what kind of people I'm going to see. But, there's no doubt that Hillary's going to take it, as I mentioned in the last episode. People are... no one's giving a fuck about the lesser two evils things. Nobody really gives a shit about the fucking email things. It's come out today, and this is the Sunday before the elections, that they're not going to charge her, so they're not going to give her any fucking prison time. They're not going to fucking hold her accountable for the shit that she's obviously lying about. Now, she's pretty deep in bed, and it's pretty well known about, her connections with, motherfuckers in this kind of hemisphere. So there's no doubt about that her choice to do this shit, although it involved a leak was probably done to kind of, hide some other shit that one couldn't really have, actual evidence for. If ever they needed to kind of burn shit down, wouldn't it be convenient that it was in the hands of someone else other than in the government, So it's passable. People don't give too many fucks about, and Trump is so fucking outspoken. And hopefully people are, unfortunately it kind of comes down to them saying, again, it coming down to a lesser two evils thing where they're like, well, fuck, we can't trust this bitch, but this motherfucker is despicable, so we gotta pick this bitch, unfortunately, because once again, she has the backers to kind of help with it. So you could tell that I'm not going to be voting for any of them, even though I almost kind of want to vote Trump just to kind of be a dick to see if it could happen and for, shit to move in the direction that it's going to be moving to a whole lot faster than we would have expected. But old girl, she had told me, she's like, I voted yes on 205. And for those in the state of Arizona, that's the thing, that's the proposition to pass and legalize marijuana so it can be distributed, crime-free. You know what I'm saying? Get it along with my pack of fucking Camel Menthols, Crush. You know what I'm saying? The extra crack on crack. But yeah, it's going to be evident on what's going to happen. But I fucking laugh my ass off because Trump is actually doing good in the polls. So I guess it depends on what polls you're looking at, because every media is going to fucking have its own, fluctuation on what is what. But there's this dude from Texas. His name is Sid Miller. So at Miller for Texas. And this motherfucker had a text message not a text message. He had a message about the polls, the points. I think Trump had like 44. So it goes, whatever the fuck the poll was, Trump 44. Beneath it, cunt 43. Like, this motherfucker was relentless, and he's not, and this isn't the first time offender, you know what I'm saying? He's tagged mad shit before, but man, cunt is just one of my fucking favorite words, and people are so offended by it. Like, why? It's just another word for bitch. It's just kind of graphic, kind of like how we call a penis a dick. You know what I'm saying? Verga, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I just love that he had the balls to say it. You're going to burn a lot of bridges by doing so. Just how when Hillary eventually wins, inevitably, if there isn't fucking riots that come down to a fucking, 50-50 point breaker, which, by the way, shouts out to all the fucking suspense that happened with the Chicago Cubs. They were sure to have lost it, but they really came in the clutch at the very fucking end when we thought they were gonna lose it all. But anyways, it's been one of those fucking, we're in those times of sheer miracles. So who the fuck knows what's gonna happen from all this? But like I said, you burn bridges, you're going to really feel like a fool for choosing the side that you did. So I'm mad interested in finding out what's going to happen with all these motherfuckers that are going for Trump. Because it's obvious that he's a piece of shit, and not to talk shit about the guy, because that's kind of what I like the most about him. He's just a bold bitch. But to support him, to back him, to put full belief that he's going to be the change that we need, I can't even go into words about it, but I'm wondering how ridiculous the people that are out in the forefronts who are pretty much advocating for him, how retarded they're going to feel and what people are going to think of them when the other side wins. Do I want either of them to win? Fuck no. But one of them has to, so I think that's the most interesting part of it all. But I'll say this. Tell me who's going to give me more money and opportunity, and tell me who's going to give the youth and the future generations more money and opportunity. If it ain't none of these motherfuckers, then I don't want to hear shit. I really, really don't. I've actually been hassled more than ever, from fucking flyers to the crib to text messages and calls about fucking voting. They're really pressing for the shit. Not like it really fucking matters, because we know who clearly won with, was it Gore and Bush and the whole Florida bullshit, and supposedly they're still fucking violent goddamn ballots flowing up out the waters. Like, it doesn't matter who the fuck gets the most votes. It just, unfortunately, it isn't how it works. That's what we believe and what we think, but it's not really what it is, because we're gonna push whatever fucking lump sum of votes that we have here and putting it in the fucking place where we want to place the bet on. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. I want to show some video from, his name is Seth something. He has one of the Tonight shows now. He used to be on Saturday Night Live, but he kind of goes in about the elections and kind of makes a bit of a point that just makes it as easy it is to sway as it is. So y'all peep it out.
For a lot of Americans, they just don't love the two choices. I mean, do you pick someone who's under federal investigation for using a private email server? Or do you pick someone who called Mexicans rapists, claimed the president was born in Kenya, proposed banning an entire religion from entering the U.S., mocked a disabled reporter, said John McCain wasn't a war hero because he was captured, attacked the parents of a fallen soldier, bragged about committing sexual assault, was accused of 12 women of committing sexual assault, said some of those women weren't attractive enough for him to sexually assault, said more countries should get nuked, said he would be forced in the military to commit war crimes, said a judge was biased because his parents were Mexicans, said women should be punished for having abortions, incited violence at his rallies, called global warming a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese, called for his opponent to be jailed, declared bankruptcy 6 times, bragged about not paying income taxes, stiffed his contractors and employees, lost $1 billion in 1 year, scammed customers at his fake university, bought a 6-foot-tall painting of himself with money from his fake foundation, has a trial for fraud coming up in November, insulted an opponent's looks, insulted an opponent's wife's looks, and bragged about grabbing women by the How do you choose?
So yeah, who the fuck you think is gonna win? Yeah, with all that, I had to have me with Jay, something to kind of just take me back down a little bit. A couple pegs, to humility, to humbleness. This morning I actually went to church and, I haven't found that, I don't know if it's just from being grown or because I definitely done some wickedness, since the last time I've felt, the Holy Spirit, kind of tickle me and lull me into a fucking shell that makes you cry and tear up and just kind of release like a spiritual orgasm. Like that's to me what the Holy Spirit is. Now I'm not too sure if I haven't been honest with myself, honest with things, and maybe it hasn't allowed me to fully feel that again, or maybe that's that feeling, that that overflowed feeling of no void. I wonder if that's maybe given to those who deserve it. Not to say that I deserved it before or anything like that, but when you're a baby, you're gonna be babied and you're gonna be spoon fed. And I want to say it might have been one of those situations to where now I'm kind of no matter how old you are, there's always manning up or growing up or stepping up to do in whatever sort of situation. And I don't know if you had to kind of have to earn that again, or just you had to be able to let down your walls a little bit more in order to allow for it to flow in. Whatever the case, that's why we beg and we yearn, and like I said, we humble ourselves, and we kind of give tribute in one way, whether it's a promise or whether it's a gift or whether it's an actual sacrifice. And I make a lot of jokes about our dedications being that time when we're so basic in believing that by sacrifice, virgin, you'll get the God's blessing. And although giving first fruits and things of that nature is all part of the tithe, that's more about putting trust in that in which you hold very dearly. You're going to give in hopes that you don't have a miracle on 34th Street, or however that story goes about the bitch who sold her hair to buy this watch that a guy had to sell another piece to just to get the bitch a comb, and now she's bald and it doesn't really matter what it is, the gift. What I'm trying to say is it's time for dedication. Yo, so in this episode, I wanted to dedicate this to Kiersey Clemens. And she, for at least where I met her at, was in the movie Dope. She played Diggy the Dyke. And if any of y'all know me, y'all know I have just the strongest of weaknesses to a güerita lipstick dyke. So to break it down, güerita being pale, fair-skinned, lipstick meaning the feminine, and dyke meaning still the same type of bitch who says she's gonna steal your bitch until she's stale and she's gonna get rid of her. but that never happens because she keeps it at the, end of her finger. Anyway, she who has been in a few things actually. She kind of comes from somewhat Nickelodeon, Disney. I don't want to say royalty, but she got her foothold in there. It wasn't anything classic, but I mean, again, it was just something. And she really does have a good range from how and what she picks as roles. She's never the same type of bitch, and I think that's what makes the lipstick dye all the more fierce, because you never know what fucking angle they're gonna hit you with. Now, she was in New Girl. She definitely was in The Neighbors too. I remember seeing her in that. She was in Easy, which is on Netflix, and it's a bunch of like random sex stories that happen in Chicago, which is pretty good. I don't know if they're all the same director or different director, or I would imagine that's probably what gives it its kicks. So I don't remember seeing that, but apparently she's in that. She's also, and this is kind of what brought her more to light, and just seeing her rock and really manipulate all her styles. She's cast as Iris West in The Flash, which is due out in 2018. I think the Justice League movie is actually coming out before it, 2017. So she's gonna make her cameos there. And honestly, just in looking at her, just from sheerness and her light complexion, black daddy, white mama, perfect mix. She just does these things with her hair that allows her to once again now visually play this different person, but also you would almost think a different mentality. One of the reasons why I remember I kind of would go through these phases of styles would be because I'm somewhat living as that character for the moment, and all in which I feel that comes from it. Not it just being a state of mood or laziness, depending on how long it takes you to get ready. It really molded me as a different kind of person. From what I noticed, I've lived many a life, different versions of a person, still ending up at the same result. So I don't know what really that took me to, or if it got me anywhere, but I feel like it did. I really do. And anyways, I just kind of shouts out to her for being able to land the role. I've never seen any bit of wickedness from her. I've never really seen her hoe it up. There's things like that I feel is very precious, because we're so quick to, throw ourselves into the light of wholeness and the whole spear in which that fucking zips through. Which, by the way, shouts out to Halloween, which I spend with some kids getting candy, and I ate all the chocolate, and I sprinkle to them sporadically like a fucking mean overlord that I felt like I was destined to be. But I missed out on a lot of poetry, and I guess if we really were to burn some bitches, fucking shouts out to Kylie Jenner for dressing up like Christina Aguilera from the Dirty days. That bitch really pulled that shit off. A lot of things that I didn't realize, and now looking back, because I used to be part of what was called the Dyke Circuit, and I never really realized that all my girlfriends who had girlfriends, they would dress up and they would do like couples outfits, and for the obscure would be like the Liza and no, that's more tranny. What was it, the two bitches that flew off the fucking cliff, Lewis and I can't remember the name of it, but if y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. More cliche couple costumes, which I don't know how the fuck I jumped on this topic, but were like the bitches from Orange is the New Black. And one thing that what sparked this idea, because I thought it was strictly of purity, which I don't know how it would have came to be, but they ended up making it anyway. I didn't know that the emoji with the two bitches looking like ballerinas was a lesbian emoji, and bitches dressed up for that. That's all I gotta say. Where the fuck else can you go from that? I might as well just say goodbye. So allow me to close this episode with thank you for those that are actually listening. If you would like to reach out in any sort of way, you can at SoulPapo, so that's SoulPapo on pretty much any fucking media. If anything, the most easily accessible and easiest to coolest one to me, I guess, is Tumblr. So you can reach me at www.soulpapo.tumblr.com, and Tumblr does not have an L or E at the end of our just y'all look it up, y'all figure it out. But if you ever wanted to be a supporter of the show, you can definitely go to patreon.com/SoulPapo, and you could just take a look at the little goals that, trying to make little videos. I'm trying, and I'm hoping that this trying becomes actually something that I did, and that we'll continue to do, because I hate going to work. I swear to God I do, and I don't know what he wants me to do, but I keep doing what I do, and obviously it ain't working for me all too well, because it keeps me on array. Again, thank you so much for staying tuned, and hope to talk at you again. Take care, and God bless.
But I had yet to face our most fearsome foes, the New York City Zoning Board.
They met in secret and made all zoning decisions based on ancient blood rituals. But I knew they would approve my request. I mean, we had a little cause. So, now I had approval to tear down this petrified piece of doggy doo-doo so I could build my master penis. But in real estate, nothing's ever easy.
Push everything!
No, stop! Stop the demolition!
We're from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and those friezes are priceless examples of Art Deco sculpture.
They don't look very priceless to me.
Well, I assure you, they are, Mr. Trump, and they need to be preserved.
Why didn't you people mention this earlier?
Well, I was in Italy all summer giving a lecture on pornographic medieval art.
And I am timid.
Just remove and donate the friezes to the museum no matter the cost. Now, if you'll excuse us, we need to go misuse taxpayer dollars and have affairs with our interns.
Message.